program. Joining me live in the studio now is the Chief Executive of the Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Andrew McKellar. Andrew, appreciate your time. What did you make of the ACTU call today for a 9% pay rise for some of those on the lowest incomes in what are known as feminised industries, where women dominate, like in childcare?
Well, look, Kieran, I think, unfortunately, the ACTU's claim is completely divorced from reality. It would not be responsible in any form. And don't get me wrong, we're not saying that those sectors which have high rates of female unemployment, if they're underpaid, of course that should be looked at. But we would say that should be done on a case-by-case basis. So there's an opportunity to bring what are called work value cases through to the Commission, where those sorts of things can be looked at. If you were to pay 9% in these areas, if you were to pay 5% across the board, our concern is that, particularly in the light of what we saw last week on inflation, the risk is this is adding into inflation. It will mean interest rates are higher for longer. And the risk is we already have financial market economists talking about the possibility of a further interest rate increase. Now, I think that is something we want to avoid at all costs.
So you're saying that there's merit to say that those on the lowest wages, like in childcare, should receive more, but you can't do it as part of the broad wage review that is undertaken by the Fair Work Commission.
Yeah, this is not the place to be prosecuting that argument. There are opportunities to bring cases to look at work value in individual awards, and if there is a claim, that some of these awards, that the pay that is provided is lower than it should be for the work value that is there, then of course bring that case forward. No problem at all. But to bring it forward as part of this annual wage review...
You're saying it has a flow-on effect, ramifications right across the board?
Yeah, well, that's right. And the starting point the ACTU has brought forward anyway, which is 5%, is completely out of kilter with economic circumstances. So just last week we saw inflation is stalled at 3.6%. That needs to get back down into the Reserve Bank's target range of 2 to 3%. Before they are going to contemplate lowering interest rates. If we don't get down there, we now see that wages are starting to feed back into inflation. They are becoming a major part of the higher prices story.
You've suggested some economists, and Warren Hogan, a regular on this program, he thinks there could be 3 more rate rises by the end of this year. If that were to happen, what sort of impact would that have on the economy?
Oh, I think it would be far-reaching. I think there's got to be some level of unrest at that point. There is genuine disquiet. The level of discomfort that many households are facing at the moment,
already,
the stress that they're facing at the moment, for small businesses, the financial stress that they are under. So to contemplate that there could be 1, 2 or 3 more interest rates in the pipeline, that's commentary. But honestly, I think that would be a risk that we would want to avoid at all costs.
So just finally, what's the goal then, and what's the measure of success for Jim Chalmers ahead of his next budget in 2 weeks from tomorrow?
Right, he has some very big challenges there. It's very clear that what is done in the budget and how that interacts with the more general economy, which is in a fragile circumstance, without adding to inflation, there are real limitations. And I think what we would say is that the government doesn't have a revenue problem, it has an expenditure problem. So really getting control of those areas of the budget which are increasing at double-digit rates at the moment, that's going to be the focus, really demonstrating that we can take some of the pressure off inflation and convince the Reserve Bank to start lowering interest rates at the right time. I think that's the balance that's got to be walked.
Andrew McKellar, thank you.